Bismillahir Rahim, my beloved brothers and sisters. Have you ever woken up in the morning, scrolled through your phone, gone through your entire day, and at the end of it felt empty? Not tired, not busy, but empty. You have shelter, you have entertainment. But something is missing. That something is purpose. And when purpose is missing, even blessings begin to feel like burdens. Today, let us reflect on one of the most powerful surahs in the Qur'an, Surah Ramadan Surah, that shakes the heart, awakens the soul, and reminds us why we exist. Let me begin by asking you something deeply personal. What remains when everything falls apart? Think about it. When your plans collapse, when the job you hope for doesn't come through, when someone you trusted walks away, when your health weakens, when your heart feels heavy and your mind feels tired, what remains? We spend our lives building around things that are temporary. We build around people, around careers, around reputation, around wealth, around status. And there is nothing wrong with striving. There is nothing wrong with ambition. The problem begins when our hearts become attached to what was never meant to be permanent. People change. Circumstances shift. Economies rise and fall. Health strengthens and weakens. Even our own emotions are unstable. One day we feel confident, the next day we feel lost. One moment we feel hopeful, the next moment we feel overwhelmed. So I ask you again, when all of that shakes, what remains firm? The only constant in your life, the only one who was there before your success and will be there after your failure, is Allah. From the moment you were in your mother's womb, when you had no control, no power, no strategy, who sustained you? Allah. When you were born and you did not even know how to feed yourself, who provided for you? Allah. When you grew and gained strength, intelligence, opportunities, who gave you the ability? Allah. Yet as we grow older, something subtle happens. We begin to trust ourselves more than we trust our Creator. We begin to believe that our success is purely the result of our planning. We begin to think our security lies in our savings, our connections, our titles. And then Allah, out of His mercy, allows something to shake us. Not to break us, but to wake us. Because sometimes we only realize what truly matters when everything else is stripped away. When you lose a job, you realize your degree was not your sustainer. When someone betrays you, you realize people were never your guarantee. When illness strikes, you realize your body was never fully in your control. In those moments of vulnerability, something powerful happens. The illusion of control disappears, and you are left with a raw, honest truth. You were never in charge to begin with, and that realization is not meant to depress you. It is meant to free you, because if you were never in control, then you were never carrying the world alone. So many of us are exhausted not because life is impossible, because we are trying to carry what was never ours to carry. We try to control outcomes. We try to secure the future. We try to guarantee results. And when things do not go according to plan, we collapse internally. But the believer understands something different. The believer understands that effort is their responsibility. Outcomes belong to Allah. When everything falls apart, your wealth cannot comfort your soul. Your friends may try, but they cannot fully heal your heart. Your intelligence may analyze the problem, but it cannot always solve it. But when you turn to Allah, sincerely, humbly, desperately, something shifts inside you. The problem may still be there. The difficulty may not vanish overnight, but your heart becomes steadier. There is a calmness that does not make logical sense. There is strength that does not come from money or people. That is what remains. Your connection with Allah remains, and when that connection is strong, you are never truly broken. This is why trusting Allah is not just a spiritual concept. It is survival, it is emotional stability, it is psychological peace, it is strength in its purest form. When everything else is taken from you, no one can take your dula. No one can take your sujud. No one can take your ability to whisper to your Lord in the darkness of the night. People can close doors. Allah opens doors no one imagined. People can abandon you. Allah never does. People may misunderstand you. Allah knows every intention in your heart. And here is something beautiful. Sometimes Allah removes things from your life not to harm you, but to show you that He alone is enough. We panic when something leaves our hands. but perhaps it left your hands because it was never meant to stay. Perhaps it was blocking something greater. Perhaps it was teaching you to shift your trust from creation to the Creator. Ask yourself honestly, if everything you rely on today disappeared tomorrow, would your heart still stand? If your answer frightens you, then that is your invitation to strengthen your trust, because the strongest person is not the one who has the most resources. The strongest person is the one whose heart is anchored to Allah. Storms will come, tests will come, loss is part of life, uncertainty is part of life. But when your heart is tied to the one who controls the storm, you may feel the wind, yet you will not drown. So when everything falls apart, what remains? If you have Allah, you have enough. And when you truly understand that, not just with your tongue, but with your heart, that is when fear begins to fade and peace begins to settle. That is where real trust begins. When we speak about trusting Allah, many people misunderstand what it really means. Some think it means sitting back and doing nothing. Some think it means saying, Allah will take care of it, while putting in no effort. Others think it is just a comforting phrase we say when things go wrong. But true tawakkul, true trust in Allah, is far deeper, far stronger, and far more powerful than that. Trusting Allah does not mean abandoning action. It means combining maximum effort with complete reliance on Him. It means you work as if everything depends on you, but your heart knows everything depends on Allah. There is a powerful lesson in the statement of the Prophet when a man asked whether he should leave his camel untied and trust Allah. He was told to tie the camel first and then trust in Allah. This shows us something profound. Islam does not teach carelessness. It teaches responsibility alongside reliance. You study for the exam, and then you trust Allah with the result. You apply for the job, and then you trust Allah with the outcome. You seek treatment, and then you trust Allah with the cure. Tawakkul is not laziness. It is not weakness. It is not an excuse for lack of effort. In fact, it requires strength. It requires discipline. It requires humility. Why humility? Because after you have tried your best, after you have exhausted your energy, you must accept that the result may not be what you expected. And at that moment, your ego is tested, your pride is tested, your sincerity is tested. You begin to ask yourself, was I worshiping the result, or was I worshiping Allah? True trust means understanding that Allah sees what you do not see. You may think a certain path is best for you. You may feel certain that a specific outcome will make you happy. But Allah's knowledge surrounds what is hidden from you. There are times in life when you will do everything right, and it still will not go your way. That is where tawakkul becomes real. Anyone can say they trust Allah when life is easy. Anyone can say they trust Allah when things are flowing smoothly. But what about when you have prayed, worked, sacrificed, and the door still closes? That moment reveals the state of your heart. Do you become bitter? Do you question Allah's wisdom? Or do you say, Ya Allah, I trusted you know what I do not know. Trust is not tested when you receive what you want. Trust is tested when you receive what you did not want. And here is something powerful. Tawakkul is not about controlling the future. It is about surrendering the anxiety of the future. So many of us are overwhelmed not because of today's problems, but because of tomorrow's fears. What if this happens? What if I fail? What if I lose? What if I am not good enough? These what-ifs drain our energy and steal our peace. But when you truly rely on Allah, something changes inside you. You still plan, you still prepare, you still think carefully, but your heart is no longer suffocating under pressure. You understand that your rizq was written before you were born. Your lifespan was written. Your tests were written. Your blessings were written. What is meant for you will never miss you. And what misses you was never meant for you. That belief is not passive, it is empowering. Because when you know the outcome is in Allah's hands, you are freed from the obsession of perfection. You are freed from the fear of people's opinions. You are freed from the crushing weight of trying to control everything. Instead, you focus on what you can control, your effort, your intention, your sincerity. And that is beautiful. Tawakkul also protects you from arrogance. When success comes, and it will come in different forms, you do not say, This is because of my intelligence, my strategy, my power. You recognize that your effort was a means. The one who created the opportunity was Allah. And when failure comes, you do not collapse completely. You do not see it as the end of your worth. You see it as part of your journey, guided by a Lord who never makes mistakes. Think about how liberating that is. Imagine living a life where you give your best in everything you do, but you sleep peacefully at night because you know the results are not your burden to carry. Imagine working hard to goals without being enslaved by them. Imagine striving for success without losing your soul. That is tawakkul. It is balance. It is strength. It is serenity. It teaches you that effort is worship. That patience is worship. That acceptance is worship. And that surrendering your worries to Allah is an act of faith. Sometimes we say we trust Allah, but deep down we trust our plans more. We feel secure only when things make sense to us, but true trust means believing even when things do not make sense yet. It means saying, "Why Allah? I do not understand this delay, but I trust you. I do not understand this hardship, but I trust you. I do not see the wisdom now, but I trust that it is there." And over time, you will look back at moments that once hurt you and realize they shaped you. Doors that once closed protected you. Delays that once frustrated you prepared you. That is when you truly understand what tawakkul means. It is not passive. It is powerful. It is not careless. It is conscious. It is not weakness. It is one of the greatest strengths a believer can have. You tie your camel, you give your best, and then you place your heart in the hands of the one who controls all things. That is true trust in Allah. There is a statement in the Qur'an that, if we truly understood it, would remove half of our anxiety overnight, and whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Pause and reflect on that. Allah does not say He might be sufficient. He does not say He will sometimes be sufficient. He says He is sufficient. But what does that really mean in our daily lives? We live in a world that constantly tells us we are not enough, not successful enough, not wealthy enough, not attractive enough, not connected enough. Everywhere we turn, there is pressure. Pressure to achieve more, to earn more, to become more. And quietly, that pressure builds fear inside us. Fear of losing, fear of failing, fear of being left behind. So we begin to search for sufficiency in things that were never designed to satisfy us. We think, if I just earn a little more, I will feel secure. If I just get married, I will feel complete. If I just reach that position, I will finally relax. But every time we reach one level, another level appears. The target moves. The fear shifts. The anxiety remains. Why? Because sufficiency was never meant to come from creation. It was always meant to come from the Creator. When Allah says He is sufficient, it means that no matter what you lack in this world, if you have Him, you are not deficient. It means that even if people walk away from you, you are not abandoned. It means that even if the world feels unstable, your foundation does not shake. But here is the question we must ask ourselves honestly: do we truly believe that Allah is enough? It is easy to say the words. It is much harder to live them. When a financial difficulty strikes, do we panic as if everything is over? When someone criticizes us, do we crumble as if our worth is gone? When plans fail, do we feel completely shattered? If Allah is truly sufficient for us, then our hearts should not collapse every time something external changes. This does not mean we do not feel pain. We are human. We will feel sadness. We will feel disappointment. Even the greatest of creation felt grief. But deep down, beneath the surface of emotion, there is a steady certainty. Allah will take care of me. And that certainty changes everything. When you know Allah is sufficient, you stop chasing the approval of everyone. You realize that pleasing people at the cost of displeasing Allah will never bring peace, because people's approval is temporary and unstable. Today they praise you. Tomorrow they criticize you. But when Allah is pleased with you, that is lasting. When you know Allah is sufficient, you stop fearing provision. You still work hard. You still strive. But you understand that your sustenance does not come from your boss, your company, your clients, or your degree. They are means. The provider is Allah. How many times have we seen doors open from places we never expected? How many times has help come from directions we never planned? How many times have we worried about something for months, only for it to resolve in a way we could never have imagined? That is Allah showing you that He is sufficient. Sometimes Allah allows you to lose something so that you realize you were depending on it too much. Sometimes He removes a support so that you lean more heavily on Him, not because He wants to harm you, but because He wants to elevate you. Think about a child learning to walk. If the parent never lets go, the child never strengthens. In a similar way, sometimes Allah allows us to feel the ground shake beneath us so that our trust muscles grow stronger. When you truly internalize that Allah is sufficient, your dua changes, it becomes more sincere. It becomes less transactional. You are not just asking for specific outcomes, you are asking for what is best. Even if it differs from your plan, you begin to say, Ya Allah, if this is good for me, grant it to me. And if it is not, keep it away from me and make me content. That is a heart that believes Allah is enough. And when you reach that level, something beautiful happens. Gratitude increases because you stop measuring your life only by what you have materially. You start noticing the countless ways Allah has already been sufficient for you. He protected you from things you never even knew about. He answered du'as you forgot you made. He replaced losses with lessons. He carried you through nights you thought you would not survive. If Allah carried you through your past, what makes you think He will abandon you in your future? Shaitan whispers that you are alone, that you must figure everything out yourself, that if you do not control every detail, everything will collapse. But faith whispers something stronger. You are under the care of the most merciful. When Allah is sufficient for you, you gain a type of independence that is rare. Not independence from responsibility, but independence from desperation. You are no longer desperate for validation, desperate for attention, desperate for control. Your heart rests, and that rest is priceless. Imagine entering a difficulty with the calm confidence that your Lord is managing it. Imagine facing uncertainty with the belief that the one who controls the universe is also controlling your affairs. That is not weakness. That is strength. So the next time fear creeps into your heart, remind yourself gently, Allah is sufficient for me. Not just as words, but as a conviction. When you feel overwhelmed, say it. When you feel abandoned, say it. When you feel uncertain about the future, say it. And over time, you will notice that your heart begins to believe what your tongue repeats, because the one who created you is more capable of handling your life than you will ever be. If you have Allah, you have enough. And if He is with you, then nothing you truly need will ever be out of reach. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this scene. It is dull, tense. Two men are hiding inside a cave. Outside, an entire group of enemies is searching for them. These enemies are armed, angry, determined. If they find them, it could mean death. Footsteps approach. Voices grow louder. The enemy is so close that if they simply look down, they will see them. One of the two men is overwhelmed with fear. Not fear for himself, but fear for the one beside him. The situation looks impossible. Escape seems unrealistic. The odds are completely against them. And in that moment, the messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad says words that echo through history. Do not be sad. Indeed, Allah is with us. Think about that. He did not say, don't worry, I have a backup plan. He did not say, our strategy will save us. He did not say, maybe they won't notice us. He said, Allah is with us. This is tawakkul at its peak. This is trust in its purest form. The situation did not look safe. There was no visible protection. There was no army defending them. From a worldly perspective, it looked like the end. But the Prophet understood something that we often forget. When Allah is with you, numbers do not matter. When Allah is protecting you, strategies are secondary. When Allah decrees safety, no human being can override that decree. And here is something beautiful the Prophet still planned. He did not walk openly into danger. He took the means. He migrated strategically. He chose the cave carefully. He asked for assistance in planning the route. He did everything within human capacity. And after all that effort, when the moment of truth came, his heart was not attached to the plan. It was attached to Allah. That is the balance of tawakkul. Many of us either rely entirely on our plans or abandon planning altogether. But look at this example. Maximum effort. Complete reliance. Imagine the calmness in his voice. Imagine the strength in his heart. While someone next to him is shaking, he is steady. While danger surrounds him, he is composed. Why? Because his heart was not seeing the footsteps outside the cave. His heart was seeing the power of the one above the heavens. Allah is with us, not with me, with us. This statement teaches us something else. When you trust Allah, you spread calmness to others. Your certainty becomes a source of strength for the people around you. How often do we do the opposite? When crisis hits, we panic. We spread fear. We amplify the problem. We assume the worst. But the Prophet A taught us that in moments of chaos, the believer becomes a pillar of reassurance. Trust does not mean you deny reality. The enemy was real. The threat was real. But greater than the threat was the presence of Allah. And what happened? The enemies did not see them. Protection came in ways no one could have predicted. A fragile spider's web and a small nest at the entrance of the cave became part of the divine plan. Something so delicate became a shield against something so powerful. Do you see the lesson? Allah does not need massive forces to protect you. He can use the smallest of means. He can change hearts. He can shift attention. He can create barriers you never imagined. Sometimes in your life, you will feel like you are in that cave, trapped, cornered, surrounded by uncertainty. The future looks dark. The pressure feels heavy. You may even feel that if one more thing goes wrong, you will not be able to handle it. In those moments, what will you say? Will you say, "We are finished"? Or will you say, "Allah is with us"? The difference between despair and peace is often one sentence in the heart. The Prophet A had been overwhelmed by the mission ahead of him. He was leaving his home, leaving his city, leaving familiarity, facing hostility, carrying the responsibility of an entire ummah on his shoulders. Yet, his trust was unshaken. And that is because his certainty was not built on circumstances. It was built on his relationship with Allah. If your trust is based on good circumstances, it will collapse when circumstances change. But if your trust is based on who Allah is, the all-powerful, the all-knowing, the most merciful, then even when the world shakes, your heart remains firm. Ask yourself honestly, when problems surround me, what is my first reaction? Is it panic? Is it anger? Is it blaming? Or is it turning to Allah? The cave teaches us that true safety is not the absence of danger. True safety is the presence of Allah in your heart. You can be in a palace and feel terrified. You can be in a cave and feel protected, because protection is not about walls. It is about who you rely on. The next time you feel surrounded by a problem that seems impossible, remember that cave. Remember those words. Repeat them with conviction. Allah is with us, not as a slogan, not as empty comfort, but as a deep belief that the one who controls every atom of the universe is fully aware of your situation. And if he is with you, then no cave is too dark, no enemy too strong, and no future too uncertain. That is the power of trusting Allah. Imagine being tied up, surrounded by your own people, and thrown into a blazing fire, not for a crime, not for injustice, but simply because you stood firm upon the truth. This was the reality of Prophet Ibrahim. He challenged idol worship in a society where it was deeply rooted. He stood alone against a community that rejected his message. He broke the idols to prove their weakness. And instead of reflecting, the people responded with rage. They decided to burn him alive. Think about the intensity of that moment. The fire was not small, it was massive. Historical narrations describe it as so enormous that people could not even approach it closely. They had to construct a device to throw him into it from a distance, because the flames were too fierce. Put yourself in that position. There is no army coming to rescue you, no supporter surrounding you, no visible escape route, just fire. What would most of us do? We would panic. We would beg people for mercy. We would feel abandoned. We would question why this is happening. But look at the heart of Ibrahim in Ezio. Fi. When he was about to be thrown into the fire, he did not turn to the crowd. He did not plead with the king. He did not negotiate with the people. His trust was directed only to Allah, and according to authentic narrations, he said, "Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil." Allah is sufficient for me, and he is the best disposer of affairs. Subhanallah. At the edge of the fire, his heart was calm, not because the fire was small, not because the situation was easy, because his certainty in Allah was greater than the flames in front of him. And what happened? Allah commanded the fire, "O fire, be coolness and safety upon Ibrahim." Notice the wording, not just cool, but coolness and safety. Because if a fire suddenly became cold, that itself could harm. But Allah's protection is perfect, balanced. The very thing meant to destroy him became a source of safety. This is the power of tawakkul, but let us reflect deeper. Ibrahim did not know how Allah would save him. He did not know what miracle would occur. He did not demand a specific outcome. He did not say, "Why Allah, extinguish the fire in this particular way." He simply trusted. And that is something many of us struggle with. We want to trust Allah, but on our terms. We want the solution to look a certain way. We want the rescue to come within our timeline. We want the outcome to match our expectations. But true trust means surrendering the how. It means saying, "Ya Allah, I know you will handle this. I do not know how. I do not know when. But I know you are capable." Sometimes in life, you will face your own fire. It may not be literal flames. It may be a trial that feels just as intense, a betrayal that burns your heart, a loss that shakes your stability, a test that isolates you from people, a hardship that makes you feel alone. In those moments, you may feel like Ibrahim Indi, standing before something overwhelming. The lesson is this: the size of the fire does not matter when you know the one who controls it. The world may see destruction. Allah can turn it into elevation. The people thought they were humiliating Abraham but in reality, they were elevating his rank. They thought they were ending his message, but they were strengthening it. Sometimes what feels like your lowest moment is actually the beginning of your highest elevation. But you will only see that if you trust. Trust does not remove the fire immediately. It strengthens you while you are thrown into it. Trust does not mean you will not feel heat. It means you know the heat cannot harm you unless Allah allows it. And here is something powerful. Abraham was alone physically. He was never alone spiritually. When you stand for truth, when you obey Allah in a world that pressures you to compromise, you may feel isolated. You may feel misunderstood. You may even face consequences. But if you are with Allah, you are never alone. The fire teaches us that obedience may come with tests, but those tests are not signs of abandonment. They are signs of divine selection. Allah tests those He loves, and when you respond with trust, the test becomes a miracle. Maybe Allah will remove your hardship immediately, like He cooled the fire. Or maybe He will allow the test to continue, strengthen your heart through it. Either way, protection is there, even if it looks different than you expected. So the next time you are standing before a fire in your life, ask yourself, where is my heart directed? Am I focused on the flames, or am I focused on the one who commands the flames? Say with conviction, Allah is sufficient for me, and mean it. Because when your trust becomes stronger than your fear, that is when miracles begin, even if the world does not see them. The fire did not burn Ibrahim and Zaluli. Instead, it became a testimony to his unwavering trust. And in your life, the very thing that was to break you may become the proof of your faith if you rely on Allah completely. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast sea. The waves are in front of you, deep and endless. Behind you, an army is approaching, armed, powerful, and determined to destroy you. There is nowhere to run, no bridge to cross, no boat waiting, no visible escape. This was the moment faced by Prophet Musa and the children of Israel. After years of oppression under Pharaoh, after witnessing miracles, after finally being allowed to leave, they found themselves trapped. The sea ahead, the army behind. And what did the people say? We are surely overtaken. We are finished. It is a very human reaction. When we see no solution, we assume there is no solution. When every visible door is closed, we conclude the end has arrived. But listen carefully to the response of Musa fi. With complete certainty, he said, "Indeed, my Lord is with me. He will guide me." Subhanallah. He did not see a path yet. The sea was still there. The army was still approaching. Nothing had changed physically. but something was unshaken internally, his trust. Notice the words, "My Lord is with me." This is not arrogance. This is not denial of reality. This is certainty and divine support. Musa al-Afc understood something powerful, that when Allah is with you, a way will be created even if it does not currently exist. And then came the command, strike the sea with your staff. From a logical perspective, that command does not seem connected to the problem. A wooden staff against an ocean. What effect could that possibly have? But tawakkul means obedience even when you do not fully understand the wisdom. He struck the sea, and the sea split. Walls of water rose on either side. A dry path formed through what moments ago was an impossible barrier. What was once an obstacle became a road. This is the essence of trusting Allah. The very thing blocking you can become the way forward. But let us reflect deeper. Before the sea split, there was a moment of intense pressure. The people were panicking. Fear spreads quickly in crowds. Anxiety multiplies. Doubt creeps in. And in those moments, leaders are revealed. Hearts are revealed. Musa Udfi did not absorb their panic. He did not allow their fear to infect his certainty. He remained firm. How often in our lives do we allow the panic of others to shake our own trust? Social media spreads fear. News spreads fear. Conversations spread fear. What will happen? What if this goes wrong? What if everything collapses? And slowly, we begin to drown, not in water, but in anxiety. But look at the example before you. The sea had not yet parted, but his heart had already settled. That is true tawakkul. It is believing in the promise of Allah before you see the outcome. Sometimes in your life, you will face your own sea. It may be a financial difficulty that seems too large, a family problem that looks unsolvable, a personal weakness you feel trapped by, a future that feels uncertain and frightening. You stand there thinking, there is no way out. But the story of Musa Dvf teaches us that just because you do not see a path does not mean one cannot be created. Allah is Al-Fatah, the opener. He opens doors no one imagined. He creates paths where none existed. He makes solutions from the heart of the problem. But here is something important. The sea did not split until Musa obeyed the command. Trust does not mean standing still in fear. It means taking the step Allah commands, even when it seems small or insignificant. Maybe your staff is sincere dua. Maybe it is repentance. Maybe it is having a difficult but honest conversation. Maybe it is applying for that opportunity despite your fear. It may seem small compared to the size of your sea. But when Allah puts barakah in a small action, it becomes powerful. And notice something else. The sea did not remain open forever. It was opened at the exact right moment. Not too early. Not too late. Allah's timing is precise. Sometimes we want the sea to split before we even reach it. We want certainty before we take steps. We want guarantees before we move. But often the miracle comes after the step of trust. The people of Musa walked through towering walls of water. Imagine the sight. Imagine the sound. Imagine the feeling of walking between something that could collapse at any moment, yet being protected by divine command. That is what life often feels like. We walk through uncertain circumstances, unsure of how long stability will remain. But when Allah is the one who opened the path, you walk with confidence. And what happened to Pharaoh and his army? The same sea that became salvation for the believers became destruction for the oppressors. The obstacle is neutral. It is your relationship with Allah that determines whether it becomes a path or a punishment. So when you stand before your sea, remember these words. Indeed, my Lord is with me. He not might guide me. He will guide me. That certainty transforms fear into courage. You may not know how the situation will resolve. You may not know what the future holds. But you know who holds the future. And when you truly believe that even an ocean cannot stop you, trust in Allah does not remove the sea immediately. It parts it at the right time. And when it parts, you will look back and realize that what once terrified you became the very proof of Allah's power in your life. There is a subtle contradiction many of us live with. We say we trust Allah for our akhirah. We say we believe in paradise, in accountability, in divine decree. We pray, we fast, we make dua for Jannah. But when it comes to our dunya, our money, our marriage, our career, our status, suddenly our trust weakens. We trust Allah with eternity, but we struggle to trust Him with tomorrow. And this is something we must reflect on honestly. When it comes to the hereafter, we speak with confidence. Allah will forgive. Allah will reward. But when our paycheck is delayed, when a proposal falls through, when we are not promoted, when our plans change, anxiety takes over, fear takes over, sometimes even anger takes over. Why is it that we can trust Allah with an unseen paradise, but we struggle to trust Him with a visible job opportunity? The reality is that many of us have divided our lives into two sections: religion and real life. We place tawakkul in the masjid, but not in the marketplace. We rely on Allah in prayer, but rely on ourselves in business. We say, Inshallah, with our tongues, but our hearts depend entirely on strategy and control. True tawakkul does not work like that. Trust in Allah is not seasonal. It is not situational. It is comprehensive. It covers your akhirah and your dunya. When you seek marriage, you tie your camel. You look, you ask, you involve families, you make istikhara. But your heart must not cling to a specific person as if your happiness is locked inside them. If that door closes, your trust says, Allah knows what I do not know. When you pursue a career, you study hard, you apply, you network, you improve your skills. But if the position goes to someone else, you do not let your worth collapse. You remind yourself that your rise was written long before you were born. When you invest in business and things do not go as planned, you reassess, you learn, you adjust, but you do not lose faith, because your provision does not come from the market. It comes from Ar-Razak, the provider. The dunya can be deceptive. It convinces you that control equals security. It whispers that if you just plan better, manage better, predict better, you can eliminate uncertainty. But no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how prepared you are, life will still surprise you. Health can change overnight. People can change overnight. Economies can change overnight. If your heart is only attached to the dunya, every change will feel like a disaster. But when your heart is attached to Allah, changes become transitions, not catastrophes. Sometimes Allah withholds something from you in this world because it would distract you from Him. Sometimes He gives you less so that your heart remains soft. Sometimes He delays something so that you turn to Him more sincerely. And here is something powerful. What you think is success in the dunya may not always be success in the sight of Allah. You may get the job you wanted, but it distances you from prayer. You may get the wealth you desired, but it fills you with arrogance. You may get the relationship you dreamed of, but it weakens your faith. Is that truly success? Allah sees the full picture. You see only a moment. So when something in your dunya does not go your way, instead of immediately assuming loss, ask yourself, what if this is protection? Protection does not always look like a blessing. Sometimes it looks like disappointment. There are doors you cried over that, years later, you thank Allah were closed. There are opportunities you thought you needed that would have exhausted you. There are people you wanted in your life who would have harmed your peace. But at the moment of loss, we rarely see that. This is why tawakkul in dunya matters so much. Because dunya is immediate, it feels urgent. The akhirah feels distant. So our reactions to dunya are often more intense. But remember this, the same Allah who prepared Jannah you is managing your daily affairs. The same Lord you trust for eternal mercy is controlling your monthly income, your relationships, your timeline. Why trust Him with forever, but doubt Him with today? When you truly trust Allah in dunya, contentment grows. You still strive for excellence. Islam does not call us to mediocrity, but you are no longer desperate. You are no longer enslaved by outcomes. You want success, but you want Allah more. You want comfort, but you want closeness to Him more. And that shift changes everything. It makes you ethical in business, even if dishonesty seems profitable. Because you trust Allah for provision. It makes you patient in relationships, even if society pressures you. Because you trust Allah's timing. It makes you calm during uncertainty, even if others are panicking. Because you know your Lord is in control. The dunya is temporary. It was never meant to be perfect. It was never meant to be stable. It was never meant to fully satisfy you. But Allah is permanent. His decree is perfect. His wisdom is complete. So let your tawakkul cover everything, your prayer mat and your workplace, your fasting and your finances, your sujud and your struggles. Do not split your trust. Trust him with your akhirah and trust him with your dunya. Because the one who is preparing your eternal home is more than capable of managing your temporary journey. One of the most painful experiences in life is a closed door. You prayed for it. You worked for it. You imagined your future around it. And then it didn't happen. The job you were confident about went to someone else. The proposal you were hopeful for suddenly ended. The opportunity you thought was perfect disappeared. And in that moment, it feels like rejection. It feels personal. It feels confusing. But what if that closed door was not rejection, but protection? We often assume that whatever we desire must be good for us. After all, we made dua. We felt peace about it. We planned carefully. So when it doesn't work out, we struggle to understand why. But our knowledge is limited. We see the surface. Allah sees the consequences. You may see a job with a good salary. Allah sees the stress it would bring, the people it would expose you to, the compromises it would tempt you toward. You may see a relationship that excites your heart. Allah sees the character traits that would slowly hurt you, the long-term incompatibility, the impact on your faith. You may see a business opportunity that looks profitable. Allah sees the hidden risks, the future loss, the distraction from what truly matters. When Allah closes a door, it is never random. It is never careless. It is never without wisdom. But here is the difficulty: wisdom is often revealed with time. At the moment of disappointment, all you feel is loss. You feel embarrassed. You feel confused. You may even question yourself. Was I not good enough? Did I not try hard enough? Why would Allah not give me this if I asked Him? And this is where tawakkul is tested deeply. Trusting Allah does not only mean believing He can give you what you want. It also means believing He can withhold what you want for your good. Sometimes the greatest mercy is not in what Allah gives you, but in what He keeps away from you. There are countless stories of people who were devastated by a closed door, only to look back years later and say, Alhamdulillah, it didn't work out. But in the moment, they could not see it. This is the human condition. We are attached to the immediate. We measure success by what we gain and failure by what we lose. But Allah measures differently. A delay is not a denial. A closed door is not abandonment. A no today does not mean never. Sometimes it means not now. Sometimes it means something better. And sometimes it means this would have harmed you. There are du'as you made years ago that were not answered the way you expected. But imagine if every single desire you ever had was granted instantly. Imagine if Allah gave you everything you insisted on without filtering it through His wisdom. Would that truly be mercy? A child may cry for something harmful. If a parent refuses, the child thinks it is unfair. But the refusal is actually care. We are the same. We cry over things that would have broken us. We cling to paths that would have exhausted us. We mourn losses that were actually rescues. Closed doors force us to redirect our hearts. Sometimes we become so attached to an outcome that it begins to replace our reliance on Allah. Our happiness becomes dependent on that one thing. Our sense of worth becomes tied to that one acceptance. And Allah, out of love, removes it so that we return to Him. The pain of a closed door is often temporary. The lesson it carries can shape your entire life. It teaches humility. It teaches patience. It teaches resilience. It teaches that your plan is not the final plan. And sometimes it prepares you. Perhaps you were not ready yet. Perhaps there are skills you need to develop. Perhaps your character needs strengthening. Perhaps your heart needs purification. Allah sees your future self. You only see your present desire. Trust means saying, why Allah, if this is good for me, open it with ease. And if it is not, close it and replace it with something better and make me content. Notice that last part, make me content, because sometimes Allah closes the door, but our hearts keep standing in front of it, knocking, replaying, regretting. True tawakkul allows you to step away with dignity, to accept that if it was meant for you, it would not have missed you. There is peace in that understanding. You do not need to chase what Allah has not written for you. You do not need to force what He has blocked. What is written for you will come, even if it seems far. And what is not written for you will leave, even if you try to hold it tightly. So the next time a door closes in your life, instead of immediately asking, why me? Try asking, what is Allah protecting me from? Instead of assuming loss, consider the possibility of hidden mercy, because sometimes Allah closes one door quietly while preparing another door you never imagined. And when that new door opens, you will realize that the old one was too small for where He is taking you. Trust in that wisdom, even when it hurts, even when it confuses you, even when you do not understand, because the one who closes doors is the same one who opens them, and He does so with perfect knowledge and perfect mercy. Fear is one of the strongest emotions a human being can experience. Fear of losing wealth, fear of losing people, fear of losing status, fear of failure, fear of the future. And if we are honest, much of our stress in life is rooted in fear. We fear what might happen. We fear what people might say. We fear not being enough. But when a heart is filled with true tawakkul, something remarkable begins to happen. Fear starts to lose its grip. Not because problems disappear, not because life becomes perfect, but because the believer's perspective changes. When you truly trust Allah, you realize something powerful, that nothing can touch you unless Allah allows it. And if He allows it, it carries wisdom. And if it carries wisdom, it carries purpose. So your fear begins to shrink. Think about it. What are we usually afraid of? We are afraid of people's opinions. But people do not control our destiny. They do not control our provision. They do not control our lifespan. Why then do we give their approval so much power over our peace? When your trust in Allah strengthens, you stop living for applause. You stop adjusting your values to fit in. You stop compromising your faith out of fear of rejection, because you understand that pleasing Allah brings a security that pleasing people never will. You are also afraid of provision. What if I lose my job? What if my business fails? What if I cannot provide? These fears are real. They weigh heavily on the heart. But Tawakkul reminds you that your rizq was written before you were born. It was not written by your employer. It was not written by the economy. It was written by Allah. Can people be means? Yes, but they are not the source. When you internalize that, you still work hard. You still strive. Islam does not teach recklessness, but your heart is not enslaved by fear of poverty. You know that the one who fed you when you were helpless as a baby is fully capable of sustaining you now. Then there is fear of the future. The future is unknown, and the unknown makes us uncomfortable. We want certainty. We want guarantees. We want everything mapped out. But Allah did not design life that way. If the future were fully visible, there would be no room for trust. Tawakkul requires uncertainty. It requires stepping forward without seeing the entire staircase. When you trust Allah, you realize that the future is not random. It is written. It is measured. It is controlled by the most wise. So instead of being paralyzed by what if, you begin to say, whatever Allah has written will unfold, and He is the most merciful. This does not remove caution. It removes panic. There is a difference between being careful and being fearful. Carefulness is thoughtful. Fearfulness is crippling. Tawakkul transforms fearfulness into steadiness. Look at the lives of the prophets. They faced threats, rejection, hardship, exile, but their hearts were anchored. Why? Because their greatest fear was not losing dunya. Their greatest fear was displeasing Allah. When that becomes your priority, other fears lose intensity. If you are more concerned about your relationship with Allah than about your reputation, criticism will not shake you as much. If you are more concerned about accountability in the akhirah than about temporary loss in the dunya, financial fluctuations will not define you. When Allah becomes your greatest focus, everything else shrinks in comparison. There is also a deeper fear many people carry, the fear of being alone. When you truly trust Allah, loneliness changes. You may be physically alone, but spiritually you are never isolated. You speak to Him, you turn to Him, you rely on Him, and that awareness fills a space inside you that no human being can fill completely. Think about how liberating this is. When fear controls you, you make decisions out of desperation. You compromise your values. You accept what is beneath you. You remain in toxic environments. You silence your truth. But when trust in Allah fills your heart, you stand taller. You say no when you need to say no. You walk away when you need to walk away. You speak truth even when your voice shakes, because you know that your safety does not lie in avoiding discomfort. It lies in Allah's protection. And here is something profound: when you fear Allah properly, you fear nothing else excessively. This does not mean you become reckless. It means your fears are put in the right order. You fear sin more than you fear people. You fear injustice more than you fear loss. You fear disappointing Allah more than disappointing society. And that reordering brings strength. A heart that trusts Allah deeply is not easily manipulated. It is not easily broken by criticism. It is not easily shattered by temporary setbacks, because it knows that nothing in this world has ultimate power. So if you find fear constantly overwhelming you, ask yourself gently, where is my trust? Am I placing my security in things that are unstable, in people who are limited, in systems that change? Or am I placing my trust in the one who never changes? When tawakkul becomes strong, fear does not disappear entirely, but it no longer rules you. It becomes a whisper instead of a roar. And in its place comes something far more powerful: calmness, courage, and a heart that knows it is under divine care. At the heart of every believer's life lies something invisible, yet incredibly powerful. It is not wealth, it is not status, it is not intelligence, it is not even outward acts alone. It is tawakkul, trust in Allah. Without it, everything else feels heavy. Prayer becomes a routine of movements without sweetness. Dua becomes a list of requests filled with doubt. Patience becomes forced and fragile. Hardship feels unbearable, almost personal, as though life is targeting you unfairly. But when tawakkul is present, when it is alive in the heart, everything changes. The same prayer feels lighter, because you are not just performing an obligation, you are placing your worries before the one who controls them. The same dua feels hopeful, because you are speaking to the most merciful, not to someone limited. The same hardship feels meaningful, because you know it is not random. Trust is what gives oxygen to your faith. Imagine carrying a heavy bag every single day. Inside it are your worries about money, your fears about the future, your regrets about the past, your concerns about what people think of you. You carry it to work. You carry it home. You carry it to sleep. Many of us live like that. Pray, but we still carry the bag tightly. We make dua, but we refuse to put the weight down. We say we trust Allah. Internally, we are gripping control so tightly that our hearts are exhausted. Tawakkul is the moment you finally put that bag down. It is not denial of problems. It is not pretending life is easy. It is the conscious decision to say, Ya Allah, I have done what I can. The rest belongs to you. And when you do that sincerely, a strange peace enters the heart. Hardship does not automatically disappear. Bills still need to be paid. Tests still need to be faced. Difficult conversations still need to happen. But something inside you becomes stable. Without tawakkul, every hardship feels like proof that something is wrong with your life. With tawakkul, hardship becomes a chapter, not the whole story. Without tawakkul, delays feel like humiliation. With tawakkul, delays feel like divine timing. Without tawakkul, loss feels like emptiness. With tawakkul, loss feels like redirection. This is why trust is not just an optional spiritual quality, it is foundational. A person may pray regularly, but if their heart constantly doubts Allah's wisdom, their peace will remain fragile. A person may fast and give charity, but if they believe everything depends solely on their own effort, anxiety will follow them everywhere. Tawakkul anchors your worship. It reminds you that your sujood is not wasted, that your tears in the night are seen, that your struggles are recorded, that your efforts are never ignored. And it also protects you from arrogance. When success comes, and it will come in different forms, tawakkul reminds you that it was not purely your brilliance that brought it. Yes, you worked hard. Yes, you sacrificed. But who gave you the ability? Who created the opportunity? Who allowed the timing to align? When you recognize that, gratitude increases and pride decreases. Trust balances you in both hardship and ease. In hardship, it gives you patience. In ease, it gives you humility. Without it, you will be tossed around by circumstances. Good news will make you excessively attached. Bad news will make you excessively broken. But with tawakkul, your heart remains steady. Think of a ship in the middle of the ocean. The waves rise and fall, storms come and go. If the ship has no anchor, it will drift uncontrollably. It may even crash. Tawakkul is the anchor. Life will still have waves. No one is promised a life without storms. But when your heart is anchored to Allah, you do not drift into despair or arrogance. You remain centered. And perhaps one of the most beautiful effects of tawakkul is contentment. Contentment does not mean you stop striving. It means you strive without resentment. You aim high, but you accept outcomes. You work hard, but you sleep peacefully. You no longer measure your worth by the world's standards alone. You measure it by your sincerity, your effort, your obedience. When trust fills your heart, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as a servant under divine care. And that shift is powerful, because at the end of the day, everything in this dunya is temporary. Wealth fades, health fluctuates, people come and go, positions change. Your relationship with Allah is what remains. If tawakkul is strong, your life has stability even in chaos. If tawakkul is weak, even comfort feels uncertain. So nurture it, strengthen it, feed it with remembrance, with reflection, with sincere dua. Remind yourself daily that Allah is managing your affairs with wisdom far beyond your understanding. Because when trust in Him becomes the foundation of your life, you gain something priceless, a heart at peace. And a heart at peace, no matter the circumstances, is one of the greatest gifts a believer can ever have. Give me a conclusion of this all speech, my dear brothers and sisters. After reflecting on the cave, the fire, and the sea, after speaking about closed doors, fear, provision, dunya, and akhirat, everything comes back to one central truth. Trusting Allah is not just part of our lives, it is the foundation of our lives. When Prophet Muhammad was surrounded in the cave, trust gave him calm. When Prophet Ibrahim he was thrown into the fire, trust turned destruction into safety. When Prophet Musa stood before the sea, trust opened a path where none existed. These were not just historical moments. They are lessons for our daily struggles. You may not stand before a literal fire. You may not face an ocean blocking your escape. You may not hide in a cave from enemies. But you will face fear. You will face uncertainty. You will face closed doors. You will face moments where the future looks dark. And in those moments, your degree will not calm your heart. Your wealth will not guarantee peace. People will try to support you, but they cannot carry your soul. Only Allah can. Trusting Allah means you strive with excellence. Your heart rests in His decree. It means you accept that delays carry wisdom. It means you believe that what is written for you will never miss you. It means you understand that sometimes protection comes disguised as disappointment. When tawakkul is strong, fear weakens. When tawakkul is strong, patience becomes easier. When your heart finds stability even in chaos. So ask yourself tonight, when things fall apart, where does my heart run? When I am afraid, who I truly rely on? When doors close, do I question Allah's wisdom or trust it? Because at the end of the day, everything in this world will change, circumstances will shift, people will come and go, strength will rise and fall, but Allah remains. If you have Allah, you have enough. If He is with you, nothing can truly harm you. If He decrees something for you, nothing can stop it. So hold on to tawakkul, not only in ease, but in hardship, not only in the masjid, but in your workplace, not only in words, but in the deepest corners of your heart. May Allah make us among those whose trust in Him is stronger than their fear of the world. May He grant us hearts that say with certainty, in every situation, Allah is sufficient for us, and may He make our reliance on Him the source of our peace in this life and our success in the next. Ameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.